Aloha everybody and welcome to part 7 of Pac-Man World. We are now going into the 4th stage of the outer space levels, and you know what that means? It means it's time for a boss fight. We're taking on King Galaxian, and so that makes this stage a little bit different from the others, because if you're not familiar with the other Namco series, there were two games called Galaxian and Galaga. And they were top-down, isometric space shooters. They were shoot-em-ups, basically, that were kind of similar to Space Invaders. You'd have all of these ships that came from the top of the screen, and you had to kill them. Some had tractor beams that would try to drag you in and take your ship away. Some had shields, some would shoot lasers at you and whatnot. And that's basically what we're playing right now. You move with the control pad, you can go up, down, left, or right. And you fire the lasers with X, square, triangle, or circle. And again, it plays like a Galaga game. It plays like a top-down space shooter from the old arcades. So this is a very different level from all the other Pac-Man games. If you want health, occasionally these ships drop health. They also drop fruit for the bonus score at the end. And this is probably the second hardest boss fight in the game behind Anubis Rex. And I think the big frustration factor about all of it is there's no real checkpoints during the boss fight. There's checkpoints to the boss fight and in this little stage kind of area that we're doing right now. Like there's a checkpoint right there. But when you get to the actual boss, if you're on like the last hit and then you die, you have to redo the entire boss fight all over again. And when you see me shooting like 5 bullets at a time, that's not me holding the button down, that's me pushing the button 5 times. I hope to God you have a rapid-fire PlayStation controller, because if you don't have a rapid-fire controller, you are going to be mashing your heart out in order to take out all of these ships and take out King Galaxian himself. Oh God, this will give you carpal tunnel. I guess one thing I would suggest is try and put your thumb over all the face buttons, like so that you can push square, X, and circle at the same time, since all of the buttons count as doing the exact same thing. That tends to help ease my thumb a little bit, since I don't have a rapid-fire controller myself. But here we are at King Galaxian, ladies and gentlemen. We have to take out all 4 of his eyeballs. And in between all of the eyeball destruction, he will send out a whole army of ships to attack you. He'll also shoot lots of yellow sparky lasers at you. And when his arms are out, stay away from his mouth. Because he will occasionally use that tractor beam to try pulling you in and damaging you that way. And I think fans of Super Smash Bros. 4 are probably familiar with that tractor beam by now, since one of the Galaga ships is an item in Super Smash Bros. In fact, the remix of this particular boss fight is actually the Galaga theme, so that's kind of fun. But this is where things start getting a little bit hectic. Again, it's very close to bullet hell at the later stages of this, when the ships, they're just shooting a lot of energy at you. If you die at all during the King Galaxian boss fight, you go all the way back to the start of it when he had 4 eyes, not 2, you know? And the last stage is by far the worst of it, because after you destroy 3 of the eyes, he's still shooting yellow sparks at you. The enemies that are coming out to attack you for King Galaxian start having shields, and they're shooting lasers at you as well. So you have to dodge the red shots, which come from the space shooters, and then you have to dodge the yellow shots, which come from King Galaxian. So you have a whole flurry of things that you need to dodge. You need to dodge the red lasers, you need to dodge the yellow lasers, you have to take out these ships, otherwise King Galaxian won't come close to you so you can attack the eyeball. And again, you still have the same pack health. 4 hits, and you are dead. And if you die here, you have to take out the first 3 eyeballs all over again. I can imagine a lot of people probably had trouble with this, especially considering for the most of the game they were playing a platformer, and they're not used to space shooters, they're not used to shoot-em-ups. They're mashing the button like crazy in order to take out King Galaxian. Like, oh my God, you've thrust a really intense Galaga stage on me. Why did you do this to me, Namco? Why? I know you gotta reference all the kinds of games in Pac-Man for some reason, you know? You got Puka from Dig Dug in Pac-Man. And now you're sending King Galaxian down to kill me? What have I done to deserve this, Namco? What have I done? So I don't know if you consider that harder than Anubis Rex, or easier, or whatnot, but I just remember that was the one boss I got stumped on. I didn't get stumped on Anubis Rex when I was a kid. I actually found Anubis Rex, once I got used to how all of his attacks worked, I could jump over all of them and dodge them no problem. But King Galaxian was a struggle, because trying to dodge all those yellow and red lasers, oh my god, that was busy work. Also, I like the keen observation we just got from Professor Pac. You've deduced that Pac-Man has kidnapped all of your friends! You don't say. I never would have figured that out without you, Professor Pac. It's not like we had that whole opening cinematic, or, you know... We know these things. But either way, ladies and gentlemen, because we've cleared Pirate Land, the Cave Land, and the Space Land, we have now unlocked a little bit more of Ghost Island. So now we can go to World 4 and World 5. World 5, which we're at right now, has a boiler room kind of aesthetic. It's the factory world. But we're going to be going to world number 4, which is the funhouse world. So, for some reason, you know, some people are afraid of clowns. They find clowns kind of freaky. They got big red noses and rainbow afros, and some of them talk in a weird voice. I'm not doing Krusty the Clown. That was not Krusty the Clown. I was just doing something. I don't know what I was doing, but... Just a warning that, you know, if you're afraid of clowns for some reason, this level might terrify the hell out of you. And I know people who are afraid of clowns. My cousin was afraid of clowns. It was the weirdest thing to me, you know? Like someone would put on a rainbow wig, a rainbow afro, and that would freak her the fuck out. And I'm just like, come on. It's just a guy in makeup. It's just a guy with a big honking nose. I don't get it. But if for some reason you're afraid of clowns, you know, you might have trouble playing this level. Although most of the enemies in this place are bumper cars and ghosts and lots of spinning contraptions. This is definitely the most platformy level in the whole entire game, ladies and gentlemen. This is the one that has lots of spinning platforms, and I don't know if that's going to make anyone dizzy simply from looking at a spinning platform with a character walking on it. I don't get dizzy from this myself, but there are lots of spinning platforms, and I would suggest for the entire world, because we'll be seeing all kinds of spinning contraptions, when it comes to the flat platforms, you always want to walk in motion with the spinning platform. Like, if it's going counterclockwise, you should go on the edge counterclockwise with it before you take the jump to the other side. Because I feel like it gives Pac-Man some kind of momentum. It does propel him forward a little bit farther and faster than if you were going clockwise, let's say, you know? Like, if you're going against the rotation, it makes Pac-Man screw up his jumps a little bit. It makes it harder for him to jump where he needs to go. So if the wheel's going down and then up, you go down and then you go up with it because you'll launch that much farther and stuff. And, again, lots of bottomless pits here. This is where all of your platforming skill counts. I think people consider the funhouse levels the hardest levels in the game. But honestly, the first one's not too bad. The first stage is pretty simple. And level 2 and level 3, I actually think those are the best levels in the game because of how platform heavy they are. It's the kind of platforming I like where all of your jumps kind of count, but like they're never really unfair. Like, I think there's a big difference between what Pac-Man World 2 does after Volcano Land, and what this game does after the Space Land. I think this is like just harder. It's not unfair or ridiculous, it's just harder, and I kind of like the platforming quite a bit. This is what makes an average game a non-average game, you know, when the platforming is so tight that it's like really great and whatnot, but I'll talk about that when we get to those two levels. For now, I should talk about the enemies. There are bumper cars in this particular stage that I think using 10 pack pellets can destroy, but you can't use one singular pack pellet, so you can't just throw a pack pellet on it to kill it. You can't butt bounce the bumper cars. and you're supposed to rev roll into the bumper cars, but the thing is, the bumper cars are so bumpy that they will knock your ass all over the place when they see you. The minute they see you, they're gonna gun for you and bounce you, and you can bounce off a wall or bounce into a pit so easily because of the bumper cars. So, you know, it's better to try rev rolling into them from behind, but even that's kind of tricky because, you know, it's just the way that Pac-Man moves. You can only really rev roll in like 9 different directions, and you could miss the bumper car because it moves too much or whatever. So it's a little bit tricky taking on the bumper cars. I would suggest just leaving them alone for the most part, because sometimes trying to kill them can be a real hassle, as we saw earlier in this level. But again, lots of spinning platforms in this particular world. Always want to go with them in their motion before you take a jump to the other side. That is my big tip for levels 3 and 2. Although I don't think 2 has the same kind of spinning platforms. Well, we'll see. But as you see what I'm doing, I'm avoiding the bumper cars. Screw them. There's no point in fighting them. They're just too dangerous. And, hey, clowns in planes! I like how that clown has the exact same sound effect as the Sweet Tooth's ice cream van in Twisted Metal. It's funny because, like, when I remember Anubis Rex's stage kind of reminds you exactly of, like, Crash Bandicoot. Even the music in Anubis Rex's boss fight is very similar to what you would hear in Crash Bandicoot. And now we just got hit by the clown, and the clown went and that's the exact same sound effect from Twisted Metal. That's Sweet Tooth's ice cream truck. So, I just think it's funny, because I'm playing a PlayStation game for nostalgia's sake, because I liked Pac-Man World back in the day, but it's reminding me of so many PlayStation games. Crash Bandicoot, the original Twisted Metal games. It's a real blast from the past, a real nostalgic thing. I like Twisted Metal a lot. I think 2 is definitely my favorite in the series. It has the best endings by far. The character Calypso is one fancy dresser. He's got a nice suit, if I do say so myself. But anywho, this maze is pretty simple. The walls occasionally close, and that might catch you off guard every now and then, but the walls don't actually hurt you unless you're in between them. And they're pretty slow that you'll see them coming, so there's no reason you should get caught between them. And, yeah. The clowns you can butt bounce, but because most of them are over bottomless pits, it would probably be better to do a pack pellet, like throw a pack pellet at them. But honestly, I don't take my own advice. So, I try to butt bounce them myself. So, don't do what I do, kids. Don't do what I do. That should be a motto of life, really. You'll notice there's a lot of fruit and pack pellets I'm skipping. As I said before, I'm only going for the Pac-Man letters, the mazes, and the pack friends. I think from World 4 and onwards, I decided that this game was going on a bit long, and that taking the time to go after all the pack pellets was certainly adding to the time sink. So I was like, you know what? If I don't need fruit or pack pellets to get what I'm supposed to be getting, I'm just gonna skip them all entirely. So this is the bonus stage for the funhouse level. You're basically 2D going from balloon to balloon. They will pop if you stand on them long enough, and there's pretty much a piece of fruit in between all of the balloons. And this one's pretty simple, really. You just jump back and forth between them all. Keep going. Try not to fall, because falling takes a big chunk of time out trying to get back to the balloons. And it's as easy as that. That's how you 100% that bonus stage. Did you expect nothing less from the great Clement? I am God. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the first stage. The first stage, again, pretty simple, but coming up in Part 8, we're going to be seeing the 2 levels that are probably the hardest in the game, but probably my favorite in the game. And we will see those in a little bit. Right now, it's Christmas time, and as I always do every year, I'm going to take a week or 2 off to enjoy the holidays. So, happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. And I shall see you with Part 8 ready to go when I get back. Till then.